Is this not what is referred to as Anglophones fighting Anglophones?
These are Anglophones attached to the CPDM regime. The parliamentarian is a CPDM parliamentarian. The other person is parliamentarian. You know, from what I gathered, they have their cultural differences out there in Akwaya. And now, you call the differences of power out there. There are other parliamentarians that have been there before the man here now. They have never been a problem to people of Akwaya. But the current parliamentarian has taken on the Aya family. He should tell us what he is claiming from the Aya family.
We're going to take some few minutes to go to the newsstands, and Immaculate Fogwe is going to tell us what the newspapers reported this week. This is the press review with Immaculate Fogwe.
As reported by the Post, the military invades a death ceremony in Bambui, Northwest region, killing a masquerade and injuring civil mourners. The Guardian Post says, after release of detained workers, Doctors Without Borders hint on resuming life-saving services in the Southwest region. Another edition of the Guardian Post reports, at New Year wishes ceremony, diplomats urge President Paul Biya to pursue dialogue to end Anglophone crisis. The Post Weekender, budgetary line 94 and 65, 1,000 people in Supreme State audit radar for alert embezzlement. The reporter states, New Year wishes, ministers panic-stricken as President Paul Biya hints on arrest of embezzlers. According to Echo Outlook, President Paul Biya touts Cameroon's resilient economy. The Advocate, dreaded 2023 financial year. Honorable Etombi explains government tax decisions. The Horizon exclaims, Anglophone crisis, Dr. Success Congo makes serious allegations against Ferdinand Gongo, but observers question his motives. The Guardian Post equally exclaims, vehicles grounded, commuters stranded as fuel scarcity hits major towns and cities in Cameroon. Municipal update says, population salutes the commitment of the government to fix the Kumbai-Kondo Titi road.
Thank you, Immaculate Fogwe, for the press review. We are still with our guest, Barrister Don Christopher, member of the Cameroon Bar Association, Aya family lawyer and Secretary General of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM, political party. Barrister, to conclude on this case of the Aya family, where are we today with that case? What was said at the during the hearing at the Southwest Gendarmerie Legion?
Thank you. I went to the Southwest Gendarmerie Legion in Boya with 4 other colleagues, lawyers. When we arrived, we went with 2 of Aya's sons, Aya Douglas and Aya Oliver. Aya Bine himself was supposed to be there because of his ill health. He didn't come. When we arrived there, we met the colonel, second in command in the Legion. He received us, we entered, he gave us a seat, we sat. He said, where is Mr. Aya Paul? I said, well, he's sick. I showed him the photo. He said, okay. That aside, where are the other 2? We showed him Douglas, we showed him Oliver. He said, okay, anybody who is not a lawyer here should leave. The others left and said, the 2 people, one should leave so that we'll start with one. They started with Douglas. Douglas, you have been charged with all the crimes you have had. Terrorism charges of secession, failure to report, arson, and the rest. Hostility against the fatherland. Douglas said all of these charges filed up by the parliamentarian and the elite, CPDM elite in Akwaya, he does not know them. That's the first thing. He has spent 30 years in China. He has lived 30 years in China. He came to this country in 2016, December. In January, they arrested his father. It cost him not to go back to China. He remained him here. and stayed in Boya. On his father's business place they call Bakassi na Cameroon. It's in Boya there in my 17, 18. It is there. He says the place is a motel where you have obeges, we call it hotels, and a bar. That is where he is working. He sells drinks and give people places to sleep. He has never if you take him to Akwa, he will not know his village. He cannot know. So to say that he committed all of this crime, he does not know when he became a party to these crimes. He is not a party to the crime. He knew nothing. There is nothing. The officer asked him, but given that you don't know anything, did you hear that they kill people? He said, yes, he heard. What did you do? The man said, the only thing he could do was say to himself, killing is a bad thing. And that if they can end these hostilities, it will be very good because all what is happening is not good. But he, directly or indirectly, he has never participated. He does not know, he don't even know that area. They asked him, we hear that you were celebrating in your bar, Bakassi, na Cameroon. Can you tell us why you were celebrating? Because people died in your area where they were killing them. He said, yes, give me the photos. Show me how I was jubilating. No such event has happened in that Bakassi na Cameroon in my 18. So all what you are saying is very strange, sir. That man should tell you what he wants, what he is asking from Aya family. First, he took my brother. He took the second brother, all in Yaoundé. We waited till today. The same charges. Today, they have turned to me. Tomorrow, they will go to the others. We are two of us today. Maybe the others too will follow suit very soon.
And the next?
The next was now Oliver. No, hold on. I'm not finished with Douglas. They asked him a question, Douglas. Why that name Bakassi na Cameroon? He said it's a positive thing. You should not even ask me because Aya Paul was inspired when we had the conflict between Nigeria and Cameroon and decided to open a business called Bakassi na Cameroon, meaning that no matter what Nigeria is saying, the International Criminal Court is saying Bakassi belongs to Cameroon. Where is the negativity in all of that? It's positive. The name is positive. Until today, and finally, God heard our prayers. Cameroon won the case against Nigeria. And Bakassi is Cameroon. So the name Bakassi na Cameroon is pidgin. It's positive. There's nothing negative there. So to ask me that kind of question, I don't know what to tell you. That's all I can say. My father was just somebody foresighted. And he said it. He gave it a name. And today, look at the payment they are giving him. For being patriotic, shouting that Bakassi na Cameroon, today he is in all kinds of charges that does not even resemble him and his family. Then the second person was called in. Oliver came in. They asked Oliver, yes, why did you cause housing, destruction, secession? He said, all of those grammar you are talking there. I am a student. I've studied in University of Boya all my time. And I have my degree in law. I'm struggling now to see a way to go to Nigeria and come out as a lawyer, because even being a lawyer in this country too is another problem. All this thing you're talking, I'm not going to acquire. Since I started my university, I've never been to acquire. So when you're talking like this, it's above me. I don't know me what to say. I don't know what the parliamentarian and the other person are charging me for. They say he was dancing amongst the people who were dancing, that they have killed people in the bar. They say, what do you do in the bar? He say he is a receptionist in that bar, Bakassi na Cameroon. So he doesn't know why they are calling him here. He said he did not participate in anything, killing anybody, or ask somebody to kill somebody. He does not go to village. This is him.
And finally,
the investigator saw that the people are giving their statements. He said he's there to gather information concerning the killings of those people, and that, barrister, you people can take them, go. When time we shall need them, we'll call them up. Because it's an investigation that have opened. It's ongoing. So we are still waiting. There will be second calls, third calls. I know they will tell me on that day when I go for the second time, they say, you went there and were talking on television. I said, yes, I spoke. I'm a lawyer for the family. I have the right to talk. I have the right to defend my clients. So that is exactly what I'm doing. And that will all happen. They didn't lock them up. They didn't come with gendarmes to arrest them. No, we took them there quietly. They gave us a spacious place. We sat. They put those questions. They answered. They signed the procès verbal. We lawyers too signed. and they asked us to go home. That is what happened.
All right. While that is happening, the head of state, in his 2022 end-of-year message to the nation, said the global security situation of the country, including the two crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions, is under control. And he also praised the army for fighting the cessation conflict. And recently, the army continued in its action of tracking down and killing separatist fighters, and one of the lead fighters was killed in Teke village along the Kumba-Tombel road, and his mortal remains exposed on the street at Three Corners, Kumba, Three Corners, Fiango in Kumba. Barrister, when you look at the current situation on the ground, is it under control, as the head of state said in his message?
You see, Mr. Babla Jonathan, this is a personal judgment. Whether who is accepting it, not accepting it, is my personal judgment. You see, for some time now, I can say the half part of 2022, there have been relative control and calm within the Northwest and Southwest concerning the war, the civil war that is going on in the Anglophone state of the country. When somebody says something, when he has said it correctly, say it's correct. The head of state in his statement was correct. The fighting slowed down to a drastic degree. I agree with the head of state. For once, he has said it is correct. But then, that speech again, after when things were cooling down, decided to prop up the recent happenings we are hearing happened in Kumba. Because if it's cooling down, it's a military technique, or it should be government technique, to stay quiet rather than provoking. It was another form of provocation. If the people stayed quiet, it was because there are other factors that made them to be calm. And that was the wish of the head of state. That was the wish of this present government, to make sure the fighting in the Northwest and Southwest becomes calm. It has relatively been calm, I've told you, in the half part of 2022. But it picked up after the speech, where you saw what you saw in Kumba. And I'm saying that the government always make it, on both sides, not only government, the government and the separatists always make it a trophy when they kill somebody they bring. Killing in national laws, our national laws, international laws, are crimes. You cannot be priding yourself for having killed somebody. It is a crime. In a situation where you go and kill and bring somebody, even a dead man has rights. He has rights as a dead man. He has to be protected by those rights. The rights of, in fact, his secrecy of his body should be respected. You don't kill a dead man and come and expose. It's not an animal. Only animals can be treated the way they are treating dead bodies. Honestly, when they kill military people, they apply the law of secrecy of their bodies and give them decent burials. Why would the military, with the SGO and all of those people, pride themselves to put somebody that they have killed? Can they not make their secret reports and send it to whoever, who is their commander, to know that we have done this, we have done this? It remains a secret, and let the people who have lost theirs should be crying their death. So I'm saying that that act is condemnable. It's not correct. To my mind, it's not correct. It isn't correct. Government is violating the rights of the dead by doing what they are doing. The soldiers that brought him there are violating the rights of the dead. All of that, they think it's a trophy. It's not a trophy. It only goes to hurt the people. The more, when you do that, that is the truth. So they should stop that action. Even when they kill them, you show on television how they are killing, it's not correct. It's not correct. That is violating human rights. It is good to show the acts so that it can be condemned, and then better measures are put in place. I'm saying that the head of state speech has, in fact, provoked those people to come out, and they were attacked by the military. The military is in its position of making sure he eradicates those skirmishes that are happening in the Northwest Southwest after it has had a cool for some time. The military is in its role. Of course, the separatists are also on the defense. They have a right, they are defending over something which the government knows should be done. We are crying every day, go to the negotiation table. Negotiations are currently going on, for what I know. But we are waiting for the outcome of that negotiation. But if things like that start happening, it only goes to spoil the negotiations that are going on, which is a deplorable act.
And the killing of elements of the national armed forces, other civilians, burning down of properties is equally
condemnable. All are condemnable, except for the fact that the root cause of the problem must be sourced out. They should source it out and then call the warring factions to make sure they stop the acts of barbarism, vandalism, killings, burning, and all of that. It should be stopped. There is a solution. And the solution is go to the negotiation table.
And while we await for that solution,
it is ongoing, Mr. Jonathan. I'm telling you that solution is ongoing. Yes. But we are still waiting for the solution, the final resolutions of that negotiation between the two factions.
There are still several parts of the two regions that are inaccessible as of now. In the northwest region, for example, those going to the Ndonga Mountain Division are forced to go through Fumbot, Fumba, and Makba to be able to go down, because they cannot come through Bamenda and then go down, because the road is still blocked.
The responsibility of those blocks falls on government. Government have the regalian right.
They have not been blocked by soldiers, but by pro-independence fighters.
Yes, I know. Government have the regalian duty to make sure security reigns in those areas, as he has done in Bamenda town, as he has done in the southwest, as he has done in some other areas. Government has worked hard through its armed forces. We applaud them for that. But the separatist fighters still exist. They are there. In those areas you have just named, the Ndonga Mountain, Dop, going to Bui, all of those areas. It remains the duty of the armed force of this country, the government of this country, to make sure all of this is brought to a total halt. No Cameroonian is blamed for it. In bringing it to a halt, government must negotiate with those separatists and their leaders. The leaders are in prisons. The leaders are abroad. Government should look for a way so that they meet, talk, and solve the problem. Because those fighters are fighting under a command. Government is fighting under a command. There are two warring factions. One is the state, one is the separatists.
Some of those who are said to be commanding the fighters have been arrested in the United States and are being prosecuted, and the head of state praised the U.S. for that collaboration.
There was no arrest. They were summoned to come to the investigating unit. They went there. They were all, the charges, there are decisions that have been passed stating that they are not guilty. They are there. It was done even before the head of state went to America. You could find the very people on the streets. If they were arrested, would you have seen them on video, on television, on social media? Anu was there. Anu was one of them now. The others, they were all there, shouting that, oh, Pobia is not a Democrat. Why is he coming here? Why was he invited here? We all saw it. It's not as if I'm talking a day. Every Cameroonian saw it. The very people whom we claim they were arrested were there on the front line. If they were arrested, we know the United States system of government, the judiciary is very strict. If they were arrested, we would not have seen them that day, because that arrest was done before the coming of the head of state to the United States of America. So they were there. Right. And to comfort what I said, decisions have come out that the people had a right of what they were doing. They are liberal people in the United States of America. It's true there was a process, but finally a decision came out. They have been liberated.
We are going to take interviews of the week right now. When we come back, we'll talk about upcoming elections in Cameroon.
The legal practice is facing a lot of challenges, naturally from all angles, charlatans and lack of training, and you name the rest. During our campaign, within our framework of the roadmap we sent out, continuous legal training was one of the key things we said we're going to focus on, and this is part of it. Because like most professions, the legal profession requires a lot of continuous legal revision because it's a very dynamic profession. It's a very dynamic profession, and it's getting more and more dynamic. The laws change every day. So that's why we're saying that the lawyers need to be trained so that they can meet up with the evolution of the laws. I seized the Minister of State, Minister of Justice, and Keeper of the Seals. I wrote to him in September. We had a meeting, and he indicated to me that it was the logistics were not there, and we hope that with the new finance law, the provisions, we are going to do something. In the past, the bar has always given a helping hand, a financial helping hand, to see that it is launched. I think when it comes to that, we will do. It's not really an immediate priority because there are certain things that we think, the Bar Council thinks that we should have them amended in our bar laws to enable a better functioning of the bar, which includes the launching of the exams. The students that come out of the university will understand that there are some of them who have the ambition to become lawyers. The bar exams is launched at the request of the bar, or the law requires that they should launch it. So for now, we have made the request, and we have discussed with the minister. He said the means are not there. We've agreed. Now the budget has been voted. We are working on that.
Actually, the head of state was responding to an injunction coming from the IMF, because last year, IMF said the subsidies that Cameroon is putting on oil, on the fuel, is too high. And the head of state came out with the figures, 700 billion for the fuel and 75 billion for the domestic gas, which is very high. That's what the treasury, our national treasury, is paying to subsidize the fuel. And the head of state say it's not longer sustainable. It simply means they are going to stop subsidizing fuel. So today, the question is not longer are they going to increase the price of fuel, but the question is, when is that going to happen? Is it tomorrow? Is it after tomorrow? Is it today? So definitely the price of oil is going to increase in the pump. Definitely. What amount, we don't still know. It depends how they are going to quit the subsidies. Is it gradually or is it brutally and definitely? So depend on the option they are going to take, the government is going to take. The price might be very high in the pump, or it might increase gradually also. It's already very, very difficult. So if you take in consideration the purchasing power of Cameroon today, if they increase the price of oil, even 100 francs only, is going to be terrible. It's going to be catastrophic, considering the impact it's going to have on all the other sectors, because fuel is, when we talk of fuel, we talk of energy. Transport is affected. Everything is affected. Most of the companies use fuel to operate. So if they increase fuel, even 100 francs only, is going to impact the rest of the life, the rest of the sectors, and all the products are going to be impacted, and the price is going to be very, very expensive, more and more.
Thank you for staying with us. The President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, has convened the electorates for the senatorial elections March 12, 2023. And before this, the President, the National President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party, Professor Maurice Kamto, made statements that provoked or triggered several contradictory and convergent views. The president of your political party said the CRM political party would take part in all elections, even without the electoral code.
You are right. That is what he said.
What is the meaning of that?
Now, you see, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement is a political party that is governed by the directorate. That is the highest instance of the party that brings together the think tank, the box of the party. You know, because the government knew that that was the black box, they decided to start cramming on them. That is why you find today Professor Alain Foguet arrested unjustly for nothing he has done. Biboum Nisak arrested for nothing he did and imprisoned. Zambwe Pascal arrested and locked up. Mispa Awasum caught and locked up and later released, but sentenced thereafter, and many others that are still languishing in the jail because of their political expression, because they say what you are doing, Mr. Government, Mr. Bia, Mr. Ministers, Mr. Governor, Mr. Prefect, is wrong. That is why they are being locked up. In total violation of the law. They are there. The Cameroon Renaissance movement under Professor Maurice Kamto is doing internal elections within the party in the country and abroad. We have finished the internal elections with our structures of the party abroad, all of Europe, America, Canada, and the rest, all. We are now in Cameroon, after which we enter our zones in Africa. So, we started off with Europe, all has been done. Professor Maurice Kamto, in the days ahead, will be installing all the officials of the party in Europe. He's gone over abroad. That is what he will do in the days coming. Because when we do the elections, there is official installation. So he's going to do the official installations abroad.
Yes, while he's doing all of that, what should we understand by the CRM will take part in all elections with or without the electoral code?
Because we know major
You
elections.
boycotted the earlier elections demanding for the revision of the electoral code or the Anglophone crisis should be resolved. None of these demands have been met.
We say with time, the government has heard us. The government says they have their time and their way of doing things. It's not as if what we said is government is against. They have only kept it. We keep working, they will come up and they will revise that code. The code will be revised before elections. When Professor Maurice Kamto, the president of my party, said, we are going in for all elections, the forthcoming elections. Within the party, we know that senatorial elections is out of our agenda. We can't participate in the senatorial elections. Let it be clear.
Why can't you participate in the senatorial elections?
At the time our party was created, we were only 6 to 7 months old. They called the first elections. That election we had 19 councillors, 1 deputy. Senatorial election, Senate was put in place. We declared that Senate we are putting in place is not good. Wait for the mandate of that council and parliamentary to expire. Then now we'll go in for fresh council and parliamentary elections. Then senatorial elections will hold, because that is the electorate. Cameroonians should know the electorate is senatorial elections is an indirect election that depends on the electors elected during council and parliamentary elections, and the chiefs are equally part of the electorate. When we had 19, we could not go for the senatorial elections because with 19, 10 in the West, 9 in Douala, we couldn't have 1 senator. When you know your strength is not there, you don't do it. We boycotted. Now, after that presidential elections, we saw all what happened. We won. They stole it again from Frundi to us. We allowed it, and most of our people were arrested, locked up, because we were doing peaceful march.
That's what you're saying, that you won.
Now, after that came,
But the result of the Constitutional Council, said the President Paul Biya won.
They themselves took off certain paves. They showed it around the world. They discovered that they were making a mistake, because if they keep counting with the 32 paves, we would have won on that day in that council. The judge of the Constitutional Council stopped the other judge who was bringing the paves. He said, no, you all saw it. Because the first, second, third showed victory for us. If they continued like that, there would have been a contradiction. So they stopped it. So let me tell you, just that fact, Cameroonians saw it, knew that we have 32 PVs that we are claiming today that showed us that we won. And 32 PVs make the majority of the voters, and we won the election. So that one
is that why you continue? Is that why you continue referring to Professor Maurice Kamto as the president-elect?
President-elect, yes.
Why should you be referring to him as the president-elect when there is an official result of that presidential election that was proclaimed by the authoritative body?
The fact that you hung your clothes outside, came out, did not see it, you will not keep crying that your clothes is there.
No, back to the senatorial election. Why are you saying that you will not take part?
We cannot go in for this senatorial elections because we still do not have that electorate that will compete with the senatorial election. It should be clear to Cameroonians and the worldwide that the Cameroon Renaissance movement can't go in for that election because the electoral code is made up of councillors, parliamentarians, and the chiefs. All chiefs in Cameroon have tended to be CPDM. We are ready for the upcoming council, parliamentary, and presidential elections.
Now, about the other elections,
yes.
When Professor Maurice Kamto now says that we will take part in those elections,
yes.
even without the electoral code,
yes.
What explains that change, that shift of position? Because we know that since the CRM has been on the political scene, it has been clamoring for a revision of that electoral code. Now you're saying that if it is not revised, if it is not even existing, you will still go for election.
Yes. We want to make an imaginary world that there is no code, that will respect nothing. We just line up Cameroonians to go and vote. We'll go in for that kind of election because it will be voting and they count on the spot. Cameroonians line up, they vote and count without any code. We'll win this government. That is the meaning of that statement. Number two, if there is a code, the existing code, how bad as it is, we'll go in for the election because we are well grounded, prepared, and we are mobilizing further to make sure people register on the electoral register, adhere into our party. Our judgment is coming from our database of militants inscribing to the party, and we are producing their cards. We know we have 3/4 as of now militants that we have on our database that are card-carrying Cameroonians that are ready to vote for us. Any election, come whatever, grouping all the others on one box and put us on the other side, we are going to beat them. And that is a fact. And we are ready. They know. Security reports have gone far and wide. They know. That is why their only strategy on the other side is to fraud. Think of methods of frauding. And ELECAM has been put at the center of fraud. They are helping to fraud the electoral system and practice. But we are warning and saying that ELECAM should change its habit, siding with the government in place in order to make sure the government win at all costs. We all know their strategy now. We shall block them.
Elections Cameroon has been saying, and it continues to say, that it is an independent body. It's not taking side with anybody. It's just doing its job of organizing elections. Now, what about the fight against electoral hold-up that the CRM put up, and for some time now it's been some kind of silent until when Professor Maurice Kamto started going around to install the regional officials of the party?
Now, I want to tell you, a fight does not last forever. The electoral hold-up has taken its time, and the period it took, and the consequences that flow with it, we have understood, and we have now piped down. We are now going on another agenda. It's a complete package. That of going to manifest peacefully to tell the world, but they came with machine guns, rifles, live bullets, and all of that. We have understood. We are turning around the other way. You should ask us, the electoral hold-up still continue because we are fighting government to make sure public manifestation by political parties must be given the chance to hold their public meetings. And we are winning. That one big time. We are holding our meetings. They have now understood, after all of that struggle of the hold-up, the fighting within political parties, making meetings, it's only the Cameroon Renaissance movement that is seen in the political arena. The others are dormant. They are not heard. Now, we have won the war. We have won the war. We are holding our public meetings. They have come to understand us that we are non-violent. They know we are non-violent. We mean business. And what we are doing is peaceful. They have come to understand, and now they are allowing us to hold our meeting. We are not harmful. We don't destroy. We are doing nothing. So, given that they have understood that and we are holding our meetings,
That was seen during the last meeting at the Japoma Sports Complex,
Komsamba and Japoma,
where we saw a number of gendarme and police officers, controlling everything, making sure that everything is taking place normally. And because of that, and also because of the visit of the national president, Professor Maurice Kamto, to the presidency of the Republic, there are allegations that the Maurice Kamto-led administration of the parties conniving is pushing down towards the regime, is trying to do some negotiation with the regime.
No.
Is that true?
No. Fat lie. Anybody who has that thought should wipe it out. Get it from me, the Secretary General of the party. Professor Maurice Kamto is negotiating nothing with government. All we are doing is to make sure what contains the activity of a political party, we are doing it without hurting anybody. His visit to the presidency, he went there as an ordinary Cameroonian, a Cameroonian that has something to deposit, let the head of state read, on an issue that is, in fact, a state issue. It's not an issue to be discussed in public. You remember, Maurice Kamto knows how to go about his things. We have been sending letters to the presidency, he ends up somewhere. The mere fact that he goes himself to go and deposit is already news and curiosity for the head of state himself, who said, I want to see that document that man came and deposited. The question I'm asking, when he came there, they asked him why he came there. He explained that he has a letter to deposit. They took him inside. He deposited his document. They discharged that document. He took the discharge copy, came, entered his car, and went him away, which is a normal procedure in serving a letter at the presidency. Immediately after that, a newspaper came out and said, oh, he was chased out of the presidency. You can imagine, you see how the people don't sleep. They have a workshop that it helps to debunk certain things. The man deposited his document as a Cameroonian, destined to President Paul Biya. He was in the United States. They received it. And it's true. Paul Biya have read the letter. If the letter went through private, either to the Secretary General, I went there, nobody will raise a hand. It will even be blocked in the drawers. But the fact that Kamto went there himself, whoa, he has come there, whoa, the information. He said, I'm depositing a letter. And they allowed him, he deposited his letter. Now, the big question, Cameroonians should be asking, what was in that letter? They're not even looking for what he wrote in that letter. On the contrary, they're looking at how they'll chase him out of the presidency. Kamto wants to take power. He wants to overthrow government. That was not the case.
That's what I wanted to ask you now, to tell Cameroonians what was in that letter, because a lot of revelations have been made about the content of the letter, referring to the Bakassi Peninsula issue with Nigeria and so on.
Mr. Jonathan, I am the Secretary General of the party. Kamto did not go there in that capacity as a political leader, because he could not have done that without telling us. That remains his private business. And I cannot tell you because I don't know what was in that letter. The question I should be asking you, Mr. Jonathan, and the public that is listening to us, have you people questioned Paul Biya? What was the letter they brought there? Why are you coming to ask me, Barrister Ndong, that I should tell you what another professional professor of law have written to Paul Biya? Why don't you? You are a journalist. The first question, Mr. Journalist, the first question.
But the national president of your party.
An international employer.
And if you're saying that he didn't go there in his capacity as national president of the CRM.
No. He didn't go there in that capacity. He went there as a Cameroonian, a professor, somebody who had, in fact, served this nation. He went and deposited a letter. He has not given me a copy. It has not been published in any media. The media should be curious to go there and ask Paul Biya, what was that letter they sent?
The information, the information coming to us is that it concerns the Bakassi Peninsula.
Curiously enough, if that letter contained any kind of stupid or foolish statement, the same government would jump on it and publish on social media through their agents. But because they knew the content of that letter is, in fact, showing that that man is patriotic. It was a patriotic message. If I have to put it in a global sense, Kamto went there because he had a patriotic message. He had left aside his struggle as a political leader, wanting to overthrow the government through the peaceful means and the ballot. He went there as a Cameroonian and as a professor of law. And as Maurice Kamto, he went there himself. The party did not know anything, so don't associate it to the party. But now the question is, why are Cameroonians so close to the government, close to Paul Biya, close to the system, cannot publish that letter? Let them publish. Cameroonians will know why Kamto went there for. Me too, I will read. Don't come and ask me. Kamto cannot tell me. Kamto did all his case, Equatorial Guinea and France. He did not tell me. I was looking on social media like other people because he's professional. Kamto is doing all his work with the international community. He does not come to tell us. That is not politics. What is not politics, we don't need to know from Kamto. But what is politics, we want him to explain. If he went there and it was something political between the fight at CRM and CPDM, they would have published it. So note that it was a patriotic message that he took to the presidency. Let the presidency publish it. Because if they publish, it will expose them. But if it is a good letter, they will keep it and work, thinking that or knowing fully well that Kamto has, in fact, told them that something is wrong somewhere.
A question a Cameroonian listening to you now want to ask is, but Barrister Ndong Christopher knows that it was a patriotic message. He knows that it was a good message.
Yes.
But he does not know the content of the message. How come he does not know the content? But he knows that it was a good and patriotic message.
Yes. I'm giving you what myself as a curious CRM Secretary General. I spoke with my boss. I said, sir, but what carried to the presidency? He said, AJ, I went there to deposit a letter. It's a patriotic message. I've given you the message. Should I talk above that? I've just given you what I had as private discussion with my boss. I was contented. I said patriotic message, because me too, after talking to me like that, if I come to hear that I published is a different thing, we shall take him on to task. Let me tell you, in our party, he does not dictate as people think. Kamto puts it on the floor. We debate it on the floor. For those who have once assisted, they know. Even those who have left us and gone, they know. Everything is discussed at the directorate. Decision is taken unanimously. Contrary to what people are talking, like when we decided not to go for elections, council parliamentary elections, oh, Kamto took decision alone. He did not take any decision alone. It was the national council of the party. It's a global, that is a big body of an assembly of all the officials of the party put together in Yaoundé. They said, with the reasons and facts presented by the president of the party after deliberation from the National Bureau, the National Council applauded. And that's how we didn't go for the elections. Let people don't think otherwise.
Barrister Ndong Christopher, member of the Cameroon Bar Association, Aya family lawyer, Secretary General of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement.
And I'm a Chief Barrister Ndong.
Chief Barrister Ndong Christopher, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Jonathan. Honestly, I want to thank Equinoxe Television because it's a reliable communication channel that informs, educates, and in fact put to limelight the things that are happening in society. This is a respectable TV house. I thank you for once more inviting me. This is my 3rd edition in the Inside House.
Thank you, Barrister. Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us. That will be it for today. Goodbye.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.